Hey guys, I'm Jay Randall. Welcome back to the channel where I discuss wisdom for the modern man. Today, guys, got another video to react to. This one is a video from the Iced Coffee Hour with Grand Stefan, and he's interviewing Charlie Kirk about the state of modern dating. So without further ado, let's get right into the video.
You mentioned earlier in this podcast that one of the biggest sacrifices that you have to make is running this massive business at the same time as trying to be the leader in a family.
Yes.
I'm curious, what do you think is the biggest issue with modern dating? As a single guy, I would love some advice. You know, Graham, he got married a year or so
Congratulations.
ago. So he's looking to start a family.
Have as many kids as you can afford. Now have
Probably
more than,
two.
Have more than
Probably
you can
two.
afford. That's what I should say.
I'll stick with
What is
two.
what is wrong with modern dating?
Yeah.
The biggest problem with modern dating is very interesting. We had a women's summit. The young ladies all raise their hands. They're like, how many of you are unhappy with the dating pool? Every woman raises their hand. I'm like, funny. All the young men I talk to are unhappy with you too. So who's wrong?
Those seem like kind of select groups of people, though. You know, like if you're asking women that are attending a women's summit, they might be in a very specific situation.
Yeah, I mean, like I would say generally I hear more complaints about the dating pool than, you know, like, wow,
I mean,
there's so many options. Maybe you're right. I don't know. Maybe
So I think it's more of an options issue. Is that you could go online and just if you don't like someone, instead of working through it, it's just you go back and you start
Sure.
swiping again.
You know, every time dating gets brought up, they bring up this options thing. The options, and I think it's very disingenuous sometimes because they paint it as if both of the sexes have the same amount of options. They're both dealing with this problem of having too many options. No, women are dealing with the problem of having too many options. Men are dealing with the problem of not having enough options. So it is an options issue, but it's different for the sexes, and they need to, distinguish between the two.
What's the problem with women, and then I'll go to the problem with men. The problem with women is that many of them, have unrealistic expectations of the man that they want, a lot of them. And I deal with this all the time. Like, I want a guy that's earning $1 million a year, and he's 6'4", and I want him to have a perfect jaw. And I'm like, yeah, that's never going to happen. How about, by the way, where on your list is like, I want someone who will be a good father or someone with good character. So that's like really disgusting, actually, that you just.
I'm glad that he pointed that out. They never lead with like wholesome qualities. Is he a man who has integrity? Does he have a good head on his shoulder? Does he love God? Is he honest? You know what I'm saying? They never lead with those qualities. It's always like the superficial, very, materialistic qualities. He has to have money. He has to be able to spend this much money on me a month. He has to be able to take me on this many vacations. He has to have this kind of house. It's like, yeah, it's very superficial things. And then they wonder, like most of them won't even be able to get that kind of guy. And then if they do, they wonder why it ends, why it crumbles. Because it's not built upon any wholesome foundation. Because you'll run into rich guys who are willing to, sell you the dream that they're going to commit to you and you can, enjoy all these materialistic things for the meantime. But those men are just going to go on to the next chick.
Someone that's like super rich and looks good. Like, why don't you want someone that's going to be loyal to you, not cheat on you?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh yeah, I want that too. Oh, okay, got it. So basically you want like Ken Barbie doll, and then you'll have like all the good virtues. Notice they don't lead with the virtue.
They
and
definitely
a lot of things lead to that.
Yep.
But number two is women need to be very clear that we need to tell women more clearly that if you do not have children before the age of 30, there's only a 50% chance that you will have children.
Exactly.
That's a fact.
It's a fact.
That's
you
a
can
fact.
fact check me on that.
Yeah. Isn't that though that women are becoming very intentional about whether or not they want to have kids, and just it's more socially acceptable? We
Yes,
should
but
say
they're
that.
miserable because of it, though.
Mhm.
I mean, it's not just mine. You can fact check me. Put the numbers up. The most depressed people in America are women without children. They're the most.
It's not that they're being more intentional, it's that they're more afraid because of the propaganda that feminism pushes. They get them super early. You can't rely on a man. Make sure you go get a career. Make sure you're stable in your career and you're making this much money. They literally tell them, don't rely on a man because a man will control you, a man will abuse you, and it's just so women are afraid that if they don't take this path of getting a career first, that somehow if they rely on a man, their life is going to end up in ruin. So they waste their early years, the prime years where they should be, they have more value to a man. They're more attractive. They're more fertile. They're, less trauma, less bodies. They're at their peak value and they waste it. in, going to school. So it's not that they're being more intentional, it's that they're being propagandized extremely young. Fear is being put into them, and then they go down a path in life that they otherwise wouldn't, and they don't realize until they're well into their 30s that, wow, I think I would have chose differently had someone explained this outcome to me, because the outcome feminism promises is not what women often get.
Likely to be on antidepressants. They're the most likely to be anxious. Again, people that experience severe depression are people that say they are very unhappy are people, young single women in their early 30s without children. Who are the happiest women in America? Married women with children.
Yeah.
I think and by the way, of course they have the agency to do that. I'm not trying to make a law like you must get married and have kids. But I think that we've gone wrong here, that women should prioritize family and children way above career.
Oh, yeah.
That they should try to find their husband before they're 25. That they should try to get married way younger. This is probably the fertility
But then that
problem.
also goes back to just finances.
No, that's
you
a
can't
huge problem.
quite
I totally agree
have
with that.
a husband going out making a salary to have a stay-at-home.
I completely agree with that. That's the best argument. It's not a winner argument, but it's the best argument. Because at some point, you go to sub-Saharan Africa, they have 8 kids and they live in a dirt hut. You can figure it out. Having children, I believe, is a blessing from the Lord. It's the most amazing thing. You should try to have as many children as you can. Much more important than traveling to Thailand or having a big apartment or a bunch of cats.
Okay. That is going to be difficult to sell to women because women are very easy to, sell this dream of you can have it all. And women are very materialistic. So they're chasing the money, they're chasing the traveling, they're chasing all the fancy, materialistic things. And they don't realize until much later that it's not going to be fulfilling. You can only, experience so much of that before you're like, okay, well, what now? You're going to feel empty. You're going to want to have something of more substance. Not to say that making memories and traveling isn't going to be fulfilling, but it's going to be even more fulfilling if you traveled with your family, if you have your kids in the picture and your husband there, and it's not just a memory of you by yourself with your girlfriends who are going to go off. They might start their own families, or they might go off and you're not friends anymore. When you build a life surrounded by people who care about you, who love you, who are going to stick around throughout their entire life and check in on you, that is where fulfillment comes in. Community. This idea that we could just live our lives separate, do our own thing, and somehow we'll be fulfilled without cultivating a community, that's problematic. That's very problematic. It starts with the family. You don't want to be an island out there by yourself in your 30s and 40s just doing your own thing. Yeah, be an individual, have some personal things that you do by yourself, but cultivate a circle. And feminism tells them, oh, you'll be fine. You don't need a family. You'll have friends. Friends come and go. Are you still friends with the people you were friends with in high school? The friends you had in college? No, they've gone their separate ways. You can't rely on friends to be there forever. The people you are working with now at your job, you might consider your friends. But they go off. They get different jobs. They move. They start families. Where's the community you're building around yourself? The community that you build around yourself is your family. Got to start there.
Having children are a gift from the Lord. So, but as far as the dating pool problem, so young ladies, they need to be very clear about what they're expecting in a man and date with the intent to marry and not just date to, have a good time. And quite honestly, both need to do this, but young women need to do a much better job of saving themselves for marriage. They need to be, they need to prioritize purity again. Young men need to too, but if young women do it, then young men will.
So if that's what the women need to do in order to make themselves...
Purity is a big thing because one of the major complaints from modern men is the body counts are too high. Women are just promiscuous. They're hoes. And it's disgusting. We have that natural, revulsion factor that we get. And we're not going to want to commit to women who are hyper promiscuous. And this is what feminism has put on to women. Women have completely taken this on because part of what being a strong woman is attached to promiscuity. There's like a checklist. You have to believe that you don't need a man. You have to prioritize your career. And then you have to be hyper promiscuous. That's like the 3 check marks you must have to be a strong, empowered woman. And that sleeping around part is really making men not want to commit to a lot of women.
worthy of dating,
Yes.
what do you think is the main thing men need to do to make themselves worthy?
The most attractive quality in a young man that young women can't ever articulate is self-control.
So how does this look in application?
A woman needs to be able to know that you can control your impulses when things get really crazy. They can't articulate it, but that's what they want. So for example, they want to be able, when you go on a date, can you control your mouth? Can you control your tongue? Can you control your eye? Are you going to cheat on her? Are you going to have a wandering eye? Are you going to get drunk every night? Are you going to kind of go into like a drug, abyss? Women can't always put that into words, but that differentiates a boy from a man. A boy is someone that has no
So
self-control.
I would argue it's confidence and ambition. And if you have
Yeah.
those qualities, I think everything else falls into place because you have to have self-control if you're going to be ambitious.
Sure,
To have
I
a
think
North
that-
Star
I
that you
totally
follow.
agree. Confidence is true. Look, again, it's just, if you look at it though, you can be very confident, ambitious, but you could also then cheat on your wife like 10 years later, right? So you have to be able to control your flesh. We as men have very different problems than women, right? Different temptations. As men, we have problems controlling our flesh. That's why adultery is literally in the 10 Commandments. You had to command an entire people not to cheat on their wives. It was easy. God would not have to command us not to do it. And so when men are dating, if you want to make yourself more attractive to a woman, first of all, like demonstrate self-control. And also women want to be taken care of. I know this is like super provocative, but like deep down, they want a man to be able to provide for them financially.
Should a man pay on the first date?
100%. Like, what kind of a wuss beta male is splitting the check? But like, who are you? Do you agree with me?
Listen, with Macy, I paid for the check.
On the first.
Yeah, on the first.
It's like, I'm just sorry. It's so. I would
didn't
go
you
into
hold on.
debt and
Wait,
like
what?
scrub dishes before a woman
Let's-
paid for
let's
it.
see, what's this?
Yeah. Let's see.
Let's see, what is this,
So
Jack?
didn't you go on a date like years ago, like a decade ago, with this woman whose mom gave you $20 to take her to the movie theater?
Yes. Yeah, I made money on that date, actually.
Oh, so there's a good financial
No.
deal for you.
Explain
that-
how you
that
made
one
money
is
on a
sick.
date. I just
That
need-
sounds different, though. That's not what we're talking about, though.
Yeah. Her mom gave her, and by the way, this was in high school.
Okay, so that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about like 24
That's
years
crazy.
old, like serious dating, right?
That's
I split the check quite a lot.
So
Quite a
I'm
lot.
sorry. I don't mean
Yeah.
to offend you. You guys are great. That's incomprehensible to me. I think that's
To me, I thought it was a great financial decision. Of just
okay.
like,
So from your prism, I totally get that, and like you have really good financial discipline. I'm sorry. Like I would be so humiliated if
did-
I'm
I
more
didn't-
with
no,
you
no.
on
I mean,
that.
it's like I
I
find
did
that to be
not
like the
care.
greatest beta male like
to
humiliation.
save money.
To like the idea that a woman that you're trying to court. Now, if it's like a friend thing or
as a first date, you don't even know if
it
she's
doesn't
like
matter.
the qualities
It does
are worth.
not matter. I'm sorry.
I see.
By the way, that money you save is not worth the honor that you compromise.
It is such a big deal.
It's a massive deal. I'm not trying to give it a hard
But
time.
no,
I don't know.
But
I'm
here,
sorry. I'm not
but here's the thing. No, in fairness, for your point with
Yes.
Macy, I paid for the whole first date.
well,
and
hold
we're
on. Why'd
married
you do
now.
that one though?
I think I was at that point. I was at a level where like that felt like the right choice to make. But throughout my early 20s,
Was it because
I
you
was
felt more
hyper-
serious with her or
I was also in a point where I was ready to be able to like,
financially?
yes,
Legit. I
We're
get that.
Early
Okay.
20s, like
I still think you should.
saving $5 here and there, I would do it. I would go
Okay,
to
so
great
you're manic with saving money.
But here's my take on splitting the check that I believe is missing out from this conversation. Men didn't all of a sudden wake up one day and decide that, you know what, I'm just going to be cheap. I don't want to pay for this full meal. No. Men splitting the check was a direct response to modern women using men intentionally for free food, for free attention, for free experiences. And men caught on to this. There was articles written about women saying, I didn't pay for a meal for like a whole month because I went out on so many dates and got them paid for free. Literally, articles were written about women taking advantage of this. Women made videos about this. Men were reporting it. So men, they caught on to this trend and they said, you know what? We got to protect ourselves. We cannot just be, allowing our assets and our just, our hard-earned money to just be wasted on women who are just want a free meal. So to counteract that, men started to, you know what? Let's just grab drinks. Let's not even go out to eat. Let's just go grab drinks. Let's Netflix and chill. Let's just split the check. If we are going to go out to eat, let's split the check. Or they go to a restaurant that's not too expensive. Whatever the case may be, men started putting things in place to prevent women from using them. So if we're going to talk about splitting the check, yeah, you can say, oh, they're beta, they're this, they're that. No, they're cautious. Trust me, if a man knew for a fact, if we could just read a woman's mind, and we knew instantly, without a shadow of a doubt, that this woman was into us, her intentions are pure, and she's actually here interested in me, no ulterior motives, a man would have zero, and I mean zero problems, paying for the date in full. In fact, he'd probably wouldn't even mind, taking it to a fancier location because he knew her intentions were pure. But men, we don't know that. Like he said, you don't know what their intentions are. And modern women nowadays are very much, totally fine with using a man for free food, for a free experience. So men are just being cautious. So yes, do I think a man should pay for the first date? Absolutely. I've never split the check in my life. But I also go above and beyond to screen the girl and make sure her interest in me is high. I will never take a girl on a date until I'm getting certain reactions, she responds quickly, we talk on the phone, and I could just see how excited she is and how engaged she is with me, and I could tell, okay, this girl is actually interested. It won't be a waste of money. So guys, pay on the first date, but if you even get the slightest feel like she's kind of lukewarm, it took an arm and a leg just to get her out on the date, that's the signs of low interest. So you shouldn't even be taking her out on a date to begin with.
We have Blake on my team is like you. He goes and he'll eat the snacks for lunch to save money here at.
It's funny. I brought food from home.
No, that's
today.
By the way,
and coffee from home.
Frugality is a virtue.
Yeah.
So we as Christians believe that there is an order of virtues, and above frugality is honor, and so we as men must lead. We must provide. Under no circumstance ever should a man ever let a woman pay for a date, or you should split ever. No circumstance.
Even on the third, fourth, fifth.
What if it's the first date and you're just not into
for anything?
Okay, well let me.
Period.
Well, let me. Okay, so
what kind of world are we living in?
Well, hold on a second. I agree with you. If I'm dating a girl, I would pay for everything.
Everything.
Yeah, everything. However, I could see for other people that might be in a different financial position, you pay for 10 dates and then she's like, you know what, I want to treat you.
Well,
I think that's
totally different.
See, here's what I don't like about these individuals. It's like rich men oftentimes forget what it's like to not be rich. Like Charlie Kirk, he has some good takes, but in a sense, he's out of touch. A lot of these rich men forget that average men make average income, and things are becoming more and more expensive every year. So literally saying to a man, a woman can never pay for a date, and that the entire financial burden is on him, is crazy in 2025, thinking as a regular guy. And this kind of talk is what's going to get men to opt out of dating. His goal is people need to date, people need to get together and start having more kids. If a man hears what he just said about the entire financial burden is on you, you have to fund her entire lifestyle, she should never pay for a date, a man's going to be like, well, I just can't afford that if that's the standard. And then women are hearing from him that, oh, that's the standard. Then it's like a guy who's making average money is going to be like, you know what? Nah, then I just can't do that. I can't pay my bills and do all this stuff. Maybe I'm still in school and then also 100% pay for every date. Sure, you could go on less expensive dates. That's also an option. But that's a huge financial burden. It is totally fine for a woman to chip in. Don't let these rich men fool you. They've lost sight of what normal people experience. Should you be striving financially to get to a place where she doesn't have to pay for a single date ever? Yes, that's the goal. But you also have to acknowledge where you are right now financially. And also, another thing that they fail to mention is that when a woman invests in you, it's a very good indicator that she's locked into the relationship and she's actually super interested. And one of the ways women show that is by putting their money into the dating process. So when she pays for a date, that shows that she's here. or not even pay for the whole date, but willing to pay for the drinks or pay for the popcorn or pay for the dessert you guys have. And maybe sometimes you'll pay for the entire date, because they're actually the cheap ones. They're actually the stingy ones. They don't like spending money on men in particular. So when a woman does spend money on a man and wants to of her own free will, just happy to do so, that is a clear indicator that she's very, very interested in you. And you want women to invest in the relationship. If you just have this stance where you're just paying for everything and you never give the woman an opportunity to invest herself, she has less stake in the relationship. She's put less in. The more you put into something, the less you're willing to walk away from it. If her experience is, man, I didn't really spend much money on this, I didn't really have to do much for him. If it crumbles, it's like, well, what did I really lose? All I did was, extract. But if she's thinking, man, I put my money into this, I put my time into this, I cooked for him, I cleaned for him, I paid for dates, she invested a lot. So she's going to want to stay and make things work. So yeah, bro, make your girl invest. Well, don't make her. Allow her to invest financially. Don't let rich men fool you into believing that allowing a woman to invest somehow makes you beta. That's false.
No. What we're talking about is like, oh, we're gonna alternate. Like, well, what's your serious? And she wants to take you out to something for a nice dinner. And you might, by the way, if you have the intent to marry, you're already like kind of blending finances. Like, I get that psychologically, but like if you're like, oh, we'll take turns. Like, oh, you pay this time, I pay this time.
What's your advice to a girl who the guy she's currently seeing, he says that?
Oh, do not marry that man.
But here's the thing. I feel like they should always
break
That's
offer.
Great. But they should offer. They should pull out the credit card.
The woman? Of course not.
Just to offer.
No.
It's a nice gesture.
No. By the way, no. This is feminism. Feminism is that you have to be this like self-independent. This is not a nice gesture. It's you trying to be like egalitarian. No. You as women should want to be provided for. In fact, you should have an expectation that you as a woman are so important and so critical and so necessary and beautiful that it shouldn't even be a question that if you're in a date, now if it's a business lunch or like friend zone stuff.
I don't think Charlie Kirk realizes that he's playing into the insane female entitlement that men are experiencing in the current dating pool. I don't think he realizes that. This idea that you're so amazing and you're so beautiful and you're so precious and you're so valuable that you should never have to spend a dime. That's crazy. And a good man is also going to look for a woman who's willing to invest in him. Most people are average, bro. That's what they're missing out. These rich guys have lost the plot. Most people make average money. She's making average money. He's making average money. If those two average people get together, they're going to have to figure out how they're going to, pay for certain things. And she's going to have to use her money to help pay for bills. He's going to have to use his money to pay for bills. She's not just going to be able to kick back and not pay for anything. Her money is going to have to go towards the light bill or the water bill, as well as his paycheck. So she needs to be comfortable and be okay with investing in the relationship from the jump. He is playing into female delusion that they are these, amazing goddesses, and men are here to just cater to them for their entire life, and they shouldn't have to invest anything except their presence and maybe some sex. No, bro. You need to be valuable. You need to actually provide value to that man as well, and recognize that we live in a very expensive economy and that you're going to have to put money up as well. That's just the reality. We can play this game as pretending like every man is making millions of dollars. Your woman should never pay. She should never have to work. If that's the standard, then don't also tell men to get married. Don't tell men that they should start dating women and marry and have kids, because that's impossible. If we're actually dealing with how things are today, right now, with how expensive things are, the price, the cost of living, the cost of cars, the cost of houses, the cost of food, and then you're telling men that entire financial burden is on you, and you need to provide for a woman and keep her happy and take her out on dates. You're telling the man to take on a burden that's impossible. And all that man is going to do is say, that's too much of a burden. I'm just going to sleep around because that's what I can afford. Because I can take a chick out for drinks. I could take a chick out to grab a burger, and then she'll give me some sex, and that's going to be my life. But if you're telling me that if I want a relationship, a committed relationship, that I have to be a multimillionaire to afford it, it's impossible. Don't fall for it. I'm telling you, these rich guys have lost the plot.
50-50. We're not talking about that, right? Like, it's all of a sudden they're like, hey, I want to buy insurance, or like, you're going to, I want to go do business. It's totally different. I still think the man should pay, but that's that.
But see, to me, when I was dating, it would be a huge turnoff if the check comes and she just looks at it and then looks at me and looks at the check.
I totally disagree.
I at least want to see, like, I'm reaching for something, and I'm like,
no.
Don't worry.
I want a woman that wants to be led by a man. I don't want a woman that's all of a sudden going to be competing financially in a marriage. I don't want a woman that's going to be like, questioning financial decisions, or a woman that's going to be like, all of a sudden, no, the man is the leader of the household. The man is the leader of all the financial decisions. The man is should be the primary provider. Again, there's exception to this. That's all. Oh, Charlie, you're so sexist. Sorry, it worked for 2,000 years, for 5,000 years, and it should work again. And by the way,
yeah, but back then, women didn't work. See what I'm saying? Like, they keep conflating how things were in the past, and they're trying to just copy and paste it to the present. The factors are completely different, bro. Yes, if men were making just as much money and women weren't working, that would work, because men would actually be able to sustain a household on one income, buy a car on one income, buy a house on one income. Men are not making that much money anymore because women are also in the workforce. So to say, oh, it worked in the past, it should work now. Dude, do you not understand economics and how that works? It's foolish.
What we're doing right now is not working. Let me just repeat again. This is not working. And I'm not trying to like bash you. Like, this is fun. It's in really good spirit.
No, I love the
right?
banter.
No, it's great. But like, this idea, if a woman on a date were to pull out a credit card to go pay for something, like, I would be like, oh, so you're like one of those boss babes.
No, that's not what that's saying, though.
Yes,
that is completely
such a
missing.
Catastrophic turnoff.
I think no. I think if I'm on a date and she reaches for it, like, I just think, oh, that's really nice. You're trying to be kind here. You're trying to alleviate what you perceive to be a financial burden on me.
That's a generous interpretation.
And so,
but bringing
obviously
something to the table.
Yeah, and so
like,
I think
women are not
bringing
bringing money to the table. They're bringing something else.
It's a nice gesture.
I agree with. I think it's a nice gesture. However, I agree with you. I think the guy should pay.
I think the woman going into that should have an expectation that the man takes care of her.
But should she be grateful if the guy takes
100%?
Oh, okay. Because
it should be immense gratitude. No. The woman should be. You know what she should say? She's like, "Thank you so much for doing that and not having to put this unnecessary pressure on me, because you've just freed me." That's what women want, by the way.
Freed me?
100%.
I would say to run.
No.
For like what? A number two at Red
By the way,
Robin?
do you know how many women are seeking?
Does that sound like a guy who's in touch with the current dating marketplace? No. Like I said, he has good takes, but not all of them make sense.
Miserable that they have to be as financially successful as men? A lot. Like, a lot. It drives them insane. Deep down, a lot of women want to be mothers. They want to be wives.
I tend to agree with that.
Yeah, not every woman, by the way. If you want to go be a boss babe, go do that. Like, it's a free society. There's a lot of great people to do that. But generally, we have overcorrected. Okay, we have a lot of women that deep down want to go be moms, and they would love to have their man come in and just grab the check, be like, "No, I got it." And by the way, you know what they see that as a signal? It's going to be okay. When the bullets start firing and there's chaos and things start falling apart, this man is going to protect the family. Boom.
Wallet on the table.
Wallet on the table. No, even better. No.
Paying 26% interest on that.
It's got to be even more alpha. You go to the waiter before the meal and you just give them the credit card. It's not even a conversation. It's paid for. It's done. Like, you don't even allow it to be a thing that is introduced there.
I would agree with that.
See?
I agree with that
full
too.
Alpha is like, you go straight up where you are like, smooth move, and the girl is so stunned, and she'll be like, "Oh, don't we have to pay?" Like, "No, I got it. It's done." Boom. Are you kidding? From a woman's perspective, they'll be like, "That's the most attractive thing ever."
Spoken like a true millionaire. Look, I agree with a lot of things Charlie Kirk said, but then other ones, I just couldn't agree with it. He's kind of lost the plot. But let me know what you think in the comment section. Let me know if you agree with his take on dating, with his take on paying for dates, with his take on a woman should never pay. Let me know in the comment section your perspective on it. And until next time, guys, Take it easy.